Okay, so it's after 6:30. We will call our regular called meeting for July to order. It's Monday, July 10th. So we've got it's like a typical agenda of 24 items, so we'll get to work. If everybody would please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and Angela got the minutes to us. Two different sets. Monday, May the 15th of 23 and June 12th of 2023. I know those were emailed. They're also on your desk here, so let's take a few minutes to look through those. Those ones in May look like were related primarily to the election. All right, is there anything that you see that needs to be corrected, clarified? If not, is there a motion under item 1A, the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for both dates.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, under item 1A to approve the May and June minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. Item 2 is discussion of possible action regarding bid award for the Judith Drive paving improvements as recommended by Walker Partners. Hello, Jacob.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Last Thursday, the 6th, we received two competitive seal proposals for the Judith Road paving project. So as you'll remember, the city and McLennan County partnered together to do kind of the first phase of Judith Road, the first phase of the first phase, and the county came in and helped construct the base and put in all the drainage culverts and then put a chip seal on top of that road. We're getting to the point now where Canal's far enough along where we need to go ahead and pave it and have it ready for them for whenever they open. And so that is this project. Included within that is a little bit of road widening work that will happen on Mother Neff Parkway, basically just to make it safe for vehicles that are making a right turn off of Mother Neff onto Judith Road to safely make that turn and allow other vehicles to pass. So the two competitive seal proposals we received were from JH Contracting and Texas Materials. The original, or the engineer's opinion of probable cost was about $430,000. So they were, the two bids that we received were in that range, with the lowest bid being $418,470. Again, it was a competitive seal proposal, so we did rate those. I believe those ratings were included within your packet. As you'll notice, we rated them extremely close, so we kind of leaned a little bit more on the cost at the end of the day for our recommendation. But at this point, we are recommending award to JH Contracting.
Y'all were really close. Jeez.
Yeah, so for your consideration, JH Contracting doesn't have as much experience with paving, but they did list a subcontractor to do their work, and their subcontractor that they listed is a very well-known paving company. We have worked with them before. They do really good work. So, Lone Star Paving. And so with the majority of this project being hot mix paving, we felt like JH being the prime contractor would still be an acceptable contractor for you guys, because Lone Star is doing the actual paving work.
$23,000 cheaper.
Yes, very close bids.
Okay, staff, Kevin, Chad, anything to add on that before we call a vote?
I think with Lone Star in place, it's not a bad deal. They're good.
I will just say for the record, both Walker Partners had a couple of employees do a rating for each, separately for each contractor, and then city staff also provided a rating. So this is what was presented to you as kind of an average of all those.
All right, is there a motion on item 2, and you'll need to name JH Contracting as part of the motion.
Make a motion that we accept the contract of JH Contracting LLC. That's all I need to say.
Yeah, include the paving improvements also.
Paving
please.
improvements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second. All right, we got a motion, a second on item 2. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. Is that all you got with us tonight?
I believe so.
Okay, all right, thanks. Item 3 is a public hearing regarding an application for a special use permit on 416 West 4th Street.
Good evening, council. We visited this one last month. It was for First National Bank. We asked for them to give us some better renderings. This is what was originally sent to us, and this is the newest rendering. So they did put some stone and some planters around there. They're not asking for any water or wastewater. They did say that they have some things that they found, some bulbs or whatever that they can fill up, and those will water every day. So somebody just stops by once a week. So they'll have some plants out front to beautify it. But brick or stone was about 2.5, 3 feet up all the way around the building.
Are they gonna have that sidewalk in there around it too like that?
I don't know. That's gonna be, the actual edge of the property is right here, so it's not a 100% accurate representation of what they're delivering. This is gonna be the street side here. The footprint of this building, they already own this building, they're relocating it, is gonna take up a pretty good chunk of that back parking. So as part of their process in doing that, they're replatting that into one piece, but the surveyor's a little ways out, but the corner of the building is gonna be pretty close to the corner of the parking lot.
But at least we do believe that the rendering of the building
Yes,
that we
sir.
see will be accurate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that looks much better than what we saw a month ago.
Yeah, this is showing some asphalt here, but the curb in the street will be somewhere along this line there.
All right, so at 6:46, public hearing on item 3 is open, which is the application for special use permit. And explain real quick why they need a special use permit for this.
This one needs a special use permit because of the zoning, and
Why wouldn't that fit in the commercial zoning?
it's a warehouse. We don't have anything general commercial that would accommodate a warehouse without specific use.
Really? Do we have any area without specific use that accommodates a warehouse?
The industrial.
All right, public hearing is still open. Anybody from the public want to comment? Hearing none, and the public hearing is closed at 6:47. And that takes us to item 4, which is discussion possible action regarding application for special use permit for 416 West 4th Street. Council, is there a motion on item 4?
I'll make a motion that we approve the special use permit for 416 West 4th Street.
There's a motion to second on item 4. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 5 is a public hearing regarding resubmission of final plat of Phase 1 for Cotton Belt Crossing Residential Development. That's MCAD 413671.
Excuse me. This was recently approved final platting for Phase 1 containing 88 lots. All the lots were 0.5 acres or larger in size. This developer has expressed that the cost of developing this from when they started to now has gotten exponentially more expensive. They're not the only developer that's saying that. Basically, every developer in the area, commercial, residential, is expressing the same sentiments. So in order to make the project a little bit more lucrative for them, they've come back to us and asked to basically be able to add one parcel in each of the long blocks there, essentially reducing the average size from, the minimum size from 0.5 to 0.41. So it go from 88 lots to 102 lots in Phase 1. This developer's been great to work with. They just expressed want to be a good neighbor and be in the community. So this would be something that I think maybe we could consider for them. It doesn't have any more strain on the utilities that have been engineered or the streets that have been engineered. It's just going to be squeaking in one more lot on the long lots or long blocks there. Did get one returned mail from an adjacent property owner as undeliverable.
Now, is this the one that's in the city limits but not in the school district?
They are not in our city limits yet. The city limits is.
Yeah, but they will be, right?
They will be. We're working on an annexation for that. They are going to be in the city of McGregor, but the school district will be the Midway School District.
School still figures on getting some of them, I suspected.
And so the lots go from 21,780 square feet being the minimum to 17,856. Not much.
Do we know what kind of house he plans on for the building?
2,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. Maybe some variations on that, but that's the standard.
All right, so at 6:54, the public hearing on item 5 is open. Anybody want to comment on this proposed final plat? So once we finally plat it, we're locked in, right? I mean, it means the developer will have the permission to do what
Yeah.
it is he says he wants to do on this paper. And it'll be zoned, what, R7?
Well, right now it's, we haven't
comes in.
annexed it yet. We originally proposed, the R20 zoning
Oh,
that
that's right.
y'all agreed to last time, but with this being a reduction in the lot size, the only way we zone it R20 would be to do a development agreement. It kind of takes us back a whole lot of steps. So the easiest thing to do would just be to annex it as R10 with them having the 17,000 square foot minimum,
And R10 is how many?
10,000.
Okay. Whereas R7 is?
7,200.
72?
Mhm.
Okay. And what do we know about roads, curb, gutter, anything like that?
Yeah, it's all gonna have curb and gutter. This will be their second entrance here for fire code. Main entrance is gonna be over here.
Okay,
This road will go all the way through. This is the old plating, but this road will go all the way through to the fence line. Hopefully with the intention of growing that another subdivision in the future. And then these roads kind of just loop around internally.
and Waco water and sewer hookup?
They're pumping from here. There's utilities are gonna go up this way and then go across Wildflower up to the old rail bed, and then they'll go that direction.
Others than some inspections, what's it gonna cost the city
I
to see
don't-
this go in?
I don't know what the dollar amount on that.
No, I mean, what is it gonna cost us? What are we gonna have to provide, if anything?
Oh, just water and wastewater connection, right?
Don't we have a partnership on part of the line coming down?
Yes. For the water, yes.
It's not huge. We need to get fire hydrants to the front of Wildflower, always have had, so our part of this will be to get that done.
Okay. And then from there, we'll reap the tax benefit for every home that's put in.
Yeah. And we're working on a project right now with this easement and then some land up in here, to be a potential municipal park at some point out there on the east end of the city, just with the amount of subdivision growth that's going on out there. So that's something we're working on with the developer, with some land that they can't really build on, but we can turn into a park.
Is this part of the rail bed that may tie in also to the running track
Mhm.
that runs all the way to Waco?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so it's a little bit further north, but the corner of their property gets to Wildflower. So the long-term plan would be to somehow connect the walking trail that's within this neighborhood and the park across Wildflower and then to the rail bed, provided that TxDOT hooks us up with that shared use path.
Okay, so the public hearing under item 5 is open at 6:58. Anybody want to comment?
Yeah, P and Z had some concern that we might be setting a precedent with this one, reducing the lot size. We've had another developer that is the reason we created the R20 zoning. It's a capacitance issue, so with this development, squeaking in a few more doesn't cause us any more issues as far as like what we can handle with water and wastewater. With the other development, if we reduce their lot size, allowed more houses, we're at capacity already with what we can allow
They're
there.
done.
Yeah, they're maxed out,
You're
so.
talking about the one north of town we'll talk
Right.
about
Mhm.
tonight?
That's your last set of houses over
Yeah.
there. Until Jacob can figure out how to build a sewer plant or a lift station or something.
I think he can figure out how to build it. The question is how you gonna pay for it.
Well, some developer's gonna need to do a lot of that.
Okay, so public hearing's open, 6:59. Anybody? Anybody wanna comment on this? Hearing no public comment, the comment period, public hearing is closed. That takes us to item 6, which is discussion possible action regarding the resubmission of final plat of Phase 1 for Cotton Belt Crossing Residential Development. Is there a motion under item 6?
I move that we approve with submission of the final plat of phase 1 for the Cotton Belt Crossing residential development.
There's a motion and a second on item 6. Any questions? Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 7 is a public hearing regarding ordinance O-10-2023, an ordinance of the city of McGregor, Texas, abandoning an undeveloped section of 10th Street originally platted for Old Town McGregor.
So this one was part of we just didn't make any action last month on this, on another item that's on the agenda tonight, but it was partially due to this. This property owner on this side petitioned the city to abandon this old 10th Street right-of-way that was never developed. Really interesting that it stops basically in a square here. It continues further over here, but there's like chunks of it that just exist and then don't. Anyway, we sent a certified mail to the property owner on this, and it came back person unknown. So we did our due diligence, ran an ad in the newspaper looking for the person or next of kin to try to ask them if they wanted to purchase this other half. We didn't receive anything back from that. So as of right now, if y'all want this ordinance, we would be offering this unimproved right-of-way to this property owner here.
Is there any reason or even hesitancy why we wouldn't do this?
I can't see one.
None whatsoever. We've been trying to figure out how to do this for a couple of years at least. There were so many dead ends on what that piece of ground out there really was, and then to the north, there was a lot of dead ends on who actually owned some of that property up there. And our surveyors helped us out a lot on that, and his surveyors helped us out a lot on that, and finally figured out what's what, how we can do it. Charlie has looked at it. For this one, he's gonna buy it.
Well, this gentleman wants to buy this land, and there's another item on here for tonight. But basically, he's buying this lot, and then he has all these other parcels, and then he wants to basically chop them up into single-family lots, and then he has a local builder lined up to build some single-family homes, which is expressly in line, I think, with council's desire for having smaller starter single-family homes in that area of McGregor. So,
Taylor,
yep,
you know, builder.
he's got someone that's going to build them. I don't think it's him.
We may want to talk about that later.
And we're talking about single-family residence as opposed to duplexes.
That's correct.
Yeah, he got the memo.
This is the same for the abandonment part, is doing it the same way like when you do it towards, with an alley. And
Sounds very
if
similar.
someone don't buy it, don't want the other half, then
That's
they get
correct.
the whole
Right.
section.
That's right.
Yeah. He's been trying to contact those people for at least 3 years, and I know.
Yeah,
Other people there have also tried to find them, and they just can't find them.
the adjacent landowner has tried to find her, and then my understanding is the builder that he is going to have build houses on those lots has also tried to find this lady, and it's like she doesn't exist.
I think several, I don't remember how many years ago, it was 2, 3, maybe longer. You know, this came up, but not per se, but I remember one time they was talking about that spot over there building on. But then I thought he was saying duplexes back then.
Probably.
When they first original, brought it up, I remember them speaking about that area over there, but it seemed like I remember then it was about duplexes, the way I remember.
I wouldn't argue with that. I don't remember when he first talked about it. He's been back and forth with Mike on this. He goes a long ways back, and I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the case at the time.
Well, at one time, they were living in that house right there on the front side of it.
Yeah,
that property.
I think you're
it's
right,
what, his
yeah.
son-in-law or something lives in there?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's his son-in-law. But I remember that one time, but like I said, I thought then they were mentioning about duplexes, so now they're saying single-family homes.
Well, he can't build duplexes, so he doesn't have a choice.
Now he's saying, I remember one
Yeah.
time that was brought up, I remember back.
Okay, 7:05. Public hearing under item 7 is open. Anybody want to comment from the public? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Takes us to item 8, discussion and possible action regarding approval of ordinance O-10-2023, an ordinance of the city of McGregor, Texas, abandoning an undeveloped right-of-way originally designated as 10th Street in the plat of Old Town McGregor, directing that the abandoned right-of-way be sold to adjacent landowner, and authorizing the city manager to execute a quitclaim deed.
I make a motion to approve ordinance O-10-2023.
Second.
There's a motion and a second under item 8. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. Under item 9 is a public hearing regarding application for replat of McGregor OT Lot A1C Block 22, Lot B4C4 Block 22. Looks like out of the Lilly J.E. survey, MCAD 375-910, 137518, and 325453 MCAD numbers.
So this is the accompanying replat, so we didn't make any action on it last month, kind of skipped it. But this would be the abandoned 10th Street right here. So he wants to replat, of course, based on purchase, but replat all of this as you see there, and then build each one of these lots would be a house. I think there's already a house here, but these other smaller ones would be single-family houses.
Can you get a house in there
Yep, they meet the specifications for R6 zoning.
for R6?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is over, isn't it?
That's R6 almost exclusively.
Are there houses right there next to them?
Yeah, there's a house here, and then there's a house here. I think there's a church here, if I'm not mistaken. This is empty land. That's the property owner that we tried to find. He said if he can find her, he'll buy that too and just put 2 more houses there. But yeah, there's a couple houses on this street. And this also was one, if you remember, I questioned this lot here because typically the railroad doesn't cough up any land, and their surveyor was able to find me some quitclaim deeds from, I believe, 1956 or 7, showing that the original property owner bought it for $3,000 and change over the course of 3 payments to the railroad. And I think Charlie said it's the oldest document he's ever seen for something like that. But yeah, he had quite a bit of microfiche film that they produced copies of. I don't know where they found it.
His surveyor helped us clean up the mess over
Yeah.
there, is what this is. This is by far better than what's sitting there. Kind of completes a neighborhood that's been incomplete for a while, if you will.
Can you replat something that hasn't been officially purchased?
Oh, well, I mean, it would be once we sell that piece to him, then he could replat it. So the plat's kind of waiting in the wings. It's not his until he pays the money.
We platted.
Yeah. Just won't record it until that's recorded, and then this will be recorded after.
All right, is there any comment under public hearing, item 9, 709? Anybody? Bless you. Hearing no comment, the public hearing is closed under 9, which takes us to 10, which is discussion and possible recommendation regarding the application for a replat of McGregor OT Lot A1C Block 22, Lot B4C4 Block 22, and the Lilly J.E. MCAD 375-910, 137518, and 325453. Is there a motion under item 10?
I'll move that we approve the replat as read in the agenda item.
A second.
There's a motion and a second under item 10. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. That motion carries. Under item 11 is a public hearing regarding voluntary annexation of approximately 61 acres of land located in the Benjamin F. Brewster Survey, Abstract 74, McLennan County, Texas, being a portion of a called 107-acre tract described in a deed to William Gary Herring for an undivided one-half interest recorded under McLennan County Clerk's document number 2007-004259 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas.
All right, so this is the Han development, as we know, country trails up here. The bottom section here, the yellow, is actually in the city limits. The green is a portion that we are in the process of annexing. So this is the first hearing on this. We'll have to have another one on it. Propose annexing this as R20 and then changing the zoning on this in the future, but this would be coming into the city as R20. It is part of their, this half, the right half is basically part of their phase 1, and then this is all part of their phase 2. Right there.
So some of that green is included in phase 1?
Some of the green is included in phase 1. It's basically go up Main, and then there's a natural drainage break in the land, and they kind of followed it. So phase 1 is all over here. It will extend our ETJ out that equal distance north. But this was all activated. The reason it's a voluntary annexation is there was a development agreement 2016. As long as the land stayed in agriculture use or one of the prescribed uses. Back in October, whenever they presented their preliminary plat, it activated the development agreement. So
And what's in the gold is already annexed?
it is in the city.
It was one of those, when we were squaring up the city limits,
Yeah.
getting rid of the donut holes.
I remember
it
that.
was, Back then, they had a deferred opportunity for ag. This fell into that, and they asked for that development agreement.
Yeah.
We had 3 or 4 of those, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple still hanging about.
Okay, under item 11, there is a public hearing, and it's now open. And as stated under item 11, it has to do with the voluntary annexation of the 61 acres that you see there on the map outlined in green.
Mayor, this one, for the annexation, public hearing has to stay open, and then you will move to the next item, and then you vote on it, and then you close the public hearing.
Huh, really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Is that new?
That's, I don't know, Charlie said it's been that way for a while.
Huh.
I guess it gives somebody to.
It's Charlie.
Okay.
I guess we're doing 2 of them, one back to back, you just keep the public hearing open, that's interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so the public hearing's still gonna remain open then, and we'll move to item 12, which is discussion of possible action regarding voluntary annexation of approximately 61 acres of land in the Benjamin F. Brewster Survey, Abstract 74, McLennan County, Texas, being a portion of a called 107-acre tract described in a deed to William Gary Herring for an undivided one-half interest recorded under McLennan County Clerk's document 2007-004259, the official public records of McLennan County. So we vote first and then close the public hearing?
That's correct.
Okay. So is there a motion under item 12 as stated?
I'll make a motion that we approve the voluntary annexation of the approximately 61 acres of land located in the Benjamin E. Brewster Survey. Do I say the rest of that?
Nope,
Okay.
you don't.
I'll stop. Hold on a minute.
Second.
There's a motion and a second under item 12. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. That motion carries, and at this time, we'll go back and close the public hearing.
Yay.
So that takes us to item 13, which is another public hearing regarding a voluntary annexation of approximately 104 acres of land, being all of the called 100.71 acres described in a deed to Mark, David, and Richard Westerfeld. All of the called 4.8 .092 acres described in a deed to Encore Electric Delivery Company.
So this was a larger development agreement. This bottom section here is already in the city limits, and then this cell tower is already in the city limits. So just what was remaining was this field here. The Farming by Faith sold a 4-acre chunk to Encore to put a substation there, and that enacted the development agreement. So that's where we're at here. That one, believe when we annex it, had a little bit of discussion with the city attorney about it, and I think even though our ordinance says by default comes in at R10, to have this one annexed in a 7.2 makes kind of a natural flow. This is R6 zoning here, and then 7.2, a little bit larger lot size, just makes sense, but of course it's up to council, however y'all want to agree to annex that in.
Well, as you look at those things, and look at the lots, I guess by the direction of the map, it's not exactly south, but maybe it is.
Close.
Yeah. So how big are those lots?
Those 30 acres.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are 30 acres. And are those
A
annexed?
couple of those have been,
Yeah, some of these have been chopped up a little smaller since then. But yeah, this one says like 17 acres, but I know that it's less than that now. It's actually been, Farming by Faith actually came in and bought the back half of some of these. So he actually has this field, and then it comes down and over. So he's bought like half of this back.
one of them, the second one from the bottom has proposed as many as 30 houses in there. He just, they can't get the utilities. You have an issue going down there, with the lift station on the north side fills that gravity line, and there's not really enough capacity to do much wastewater.
And is that wildflower that wraps around there?
Yeah, it is.
That's wildfire that takes off to the right down there at the bottom. Now, there is some pressure from developers poking around down there, and they've got to figure out how to solve that wastewater problem. It also needs a bigger wastewater lift station down there at Spring Valley. It's called Spring Valley? Okay. Because that pumps back over the other hill going to the wastewater plant. So there's development issues down there, and that piece of ground that you're fixing to annex will fall into that category as well. So
Man, Andrew, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. But my thought would be to annex it much bigger
You can
as
go-
far as lots. We can always make it smaller later.
R10 is the default, so it'd be certainly something y'all could, however y'all want to word it. We haven't written that ordinance yet.
that comes later?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then it'll come later.
Well, okay.
But I'm thinking,
I wouldn't automatically just put it in at R6 then. Again, my thought is to keep it bigger. We can make it smaller later if we needed to, but
Well,
start big.
Yeah, our ordinance is R10 annexation.
I'm not too sure we shouldn't change that to R20.
I agree.
fine.
That's my thought too.
I'll write it up.
That's my thought. Default is R20.
Just
I like it.
good thought. I like the way you're thinking, sir.
But tonight is just about the
This
annexation.
is just the process. We have to do an ordinance that declares
Okay.
what we're doing with it. And again, the public hearing has to stay open.
All right, so we'll do that. Public hearing is open at 7:18. Anybody from the public want to comment?
This also stays open.
Yeah, it has to stay open.
Yeah. So that takes us to item 14, which is discussion possible action regarding the voluntary annexation of approximately 104.8 acres of land, being all that called 100.71 acres described in a deed to Mark David and Richard Westerfeld, and all the called 4.092 acres described in a deed to Encore Electric Delivery Company. Is there a motion on item 14?
I'll make a motion that we approve the voluntary annexation.
There's a motion second under item 14. Any other questions or comments?
So is that basically all that back there behind Johnson?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that big, the yellow spot, that's where the electric deal is.
Yeah, so this is where the substation is at, and then they have all the high lines coming out of there. This is Johnson Street, so with these houses that back up, basically the edge of town right now, they back up to that field. This field will be the
Yeah.
new city limits.
Okay, anything else? Hearing nothing else, with the motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor under item 14, say aye. All opposed, no. That motion carries under 14, and we close the public hearing under 13. Item 15 is discussion possible action regarding the first reading of ordinance O-09-2023, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, granting to Atmos Energy Corporation, a Texas and Virginia corporation, its successors, and assigns a franchise to construct, maintain, and operate pipelines and equipment in the City of McGregor, Texas, for the transportation, delivery, sale, and distribution of gas in, out of, and through said city for all purposes, providing for the payment of a fee or charge for the use of the public rights of ways, providing that such fees shall be in lieu of other fees and charges, accepting ad valorem taxes, repealing all previous gas franchise ordinances, and providing an effective date.
Council, this is overdue by 2.5 years, is that right? So we need to get this,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
That's Amy.
Oh, there she is. Come up. Due to COVID and other situations, this thing got shelved and lost, and we brought it back, hired Terry Welch out of Dallas to help us get it finished at Charlie's direction, and here we are.
Yes. Hi, Mayor, Council. My name is Tammy Bowman, and I office out of 1400 West Loop 340 in Waco. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the franchise agreement.
It's pretty straightforward, very similar to all the others in the state. Mr. Welch worked on a couple of minor items. There was already a document floated that was pretty solid, and they were very cooperative, and here we are, finally. Your charter gives you some challenges, such as reading how many times?
2 times,
And publishing how many times?
2 weeks.
The whole thing.
Already done.
There may be some charter issues to take up in the future regarding franchises, just saying.
So this is the agreement by which we get paid to allow Atmos to put pipes in and around and run gas through our city.
To use of the public right of ways,
Yeah.
yes. And I believe the percentage did go up from 4% to 5% in the new franchise agreement.
Ooh, somebody else must have had a 5%.
That's good. That's really good. That'll make a big difference. Okay, well, I don't know that we have any questions, so up until now, we've been operating under the prior agreement. This is
Correct.
not a relate back or retroactive, this starts new.
It'll start new,
Okay.
yes.
And when we say read, Angela, do we read the caption or the whole thing?
I'm sorry? Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Angela.
Since the whole thing has been published and
There you
I
go.
saw that. I wonder why that was the case. Okay.
Well, Linneman needed a little bit.
And that is at Atmos's expense.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also required by the charter.
Yes. And it will be on next meeting as well for the final reading as well.
Okay. All right, well, then that takes care of item 15, right? And there's no action to take other than read it and see if we have any questions. Okay. So that takes us to 16, which is discussion and possible action regarding the McLennan County 911 Emergency Assistance District. Runoff ballot for seat 1. Looks like our own Van Smith is in a hotly contested
Way to go.
political campaign here. You better get your Facebook up and your yard signs out. So as you can see here, nobody got more than 50%, so there is a runoff between Ryan Holt and our own Henry Van Smith. So ballot is included. Indicate your city's preference. I think that's pretty easy for us. So, how many votes do we get?
One on
We only get one? I thought we got more.
It's
on other things.
That's like MCAD.
Man.
Just one.
All right. Sorry, Van. All right, so is there a motion to cast our vote?
Make a motion to cast our vote for Henry Van Smith.
I second.
There's a motion and a second for Van Smith. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion carries. So with us casting that vote, Kevin, can you make a call or two? And I mean, is there any way you can rustle up a little support from maybe some of these other small towns?
Well, man hadn't paid me yet, so.
I'm glad you said that on the record, not me.
It's a very high-paying job, man. I think you get 0, so I wouldn't expect any help. I will do so, sir.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it'd be good if you can. I'm sure this other gentleman is qualified as well, but I'd rather have our own, who I know is qualified. Okay, that takes us to item 17, which is receive financials as of May 31, 2023. That's Carolyn.
Okay, May represents 66.67 of our budget year. And our general fund is at 91.7% in revenues. And our expenses are at 66.5. Utility fund is at 57.54 and 58.06. The exchange is at 55.53 and 70.41. And the airport is at 76.4 and 33.38. Our net cash in bank is, I just lost, is, go to the next slide if you would, the next one. One more. There you go. Where we had said we're at 7.2 million. You can see where all that is coming from. Our operating is at 86. Our debt service, it's up, it's at 540. That's reflective of us collecting our AV taxes for our debt.
Our what taxes?
Ad valorem.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Our capital projects are up 7.1 million. That's the 2023 bond. And then grants were up 24,000. Our sales tax, as you can see, continues to climb. We're at 1.6 million. So we will, and that's comparing May to May for the last 10 years. You'll see that. Yeah, yeah, it is going well. Our budget workshop, is that next? Or?
Yeah, it is.
Because that's really more what we spent a lot of time on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, our budget assumptions. Brian.
So this is the first time we've seen the draft budget, right?
This is workshop, so this is just kind of the preliminary, kind of let y'all know kind of what we're trying to do, what we're looking at.
Okay.
Of course, we're open to all suggestions, all changes, whatever we need to do.
Okay.
In this year's budget, it includes because we have not gotten the quote yet from our insurance company. It's too early for them.
Talking about health insurance?
Yes. And so it includes a 10% increase. That may be more, it may be less. You know, I don't know until we actually get the numbers in. It also includes a 3% COLA for October 1 and a merit of 2% January 1. Our TMRS contribution rate, we do know, and it has increased from 13.11 to 13.75. Our city participating amount of $42,000 has been rebudgeted again this year, and that's for if we get the grant from TxDOT on signalization.
What does that mean, signalization? You talking about railroad tracks?
We're talking about right here at the, where you.
Pedestrian and signals. Remember the grant we went for pedestrian signals?
Yes.
We'll go for that again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this is also the second year of our tornado siren program. So we have 2 siren budgeted. We allocated, just like what I've done in the previous year, I allocated the city manager, fleet mechanic, and finance director between funds. I've added 2 positions to the police budget.
What kind of positions?
What was requested was communication. We're going to try to get at least 1 more officer, maybe 2, just depends. Like I said, there's going to be several changes. This is just kind of the starting
Depends
point.
on what the school decides to do on SRO.
Yeah.
No, I'm not looking at you.
You're out of that business, aren't you?
I'm glad I don't have to go talk to you about it. Just saying.
The paperwork tonight includes an additional person for the street department.
So
but-
hang on real
Oh,
quick before
okay.
we leave the police.
Sure.
Just make sure I understand. When you say 2 positions to police budget, you said 1 in dispatch and 1 as an officer?
2 in dispatch, 1 as an officer, possibly 2.
So that would be 4 people then?
Yes.
Depending
And
on
what
how
this
the
budget has in
SRO
front of you has 2, to be straightforward.
And if we did that, the other, what you call it,
SRO,
SRO,
mhm.
that's some sort of shared expense with the school, right?
Correct.
Okay.
In this budget, I added an additional employee to street, but I believe that's going to be moved to parks. And I have an additional employee in the utility maintenance department as well.
So we know what street department would mean when you add a person. What do you mean by adding 1 utility maintenance? Talking about a mechanic?
No, utility maintenance is the guys that, when there's a water line break, they go out, they do all the
Okay.
water mains, the water broken lines,
Gotcha.
the maintenance of our system.
We're also working on another parks employee. I had a
Yeah.
thought today about that we're gonna explore as well. I'll pay for it.
And then the next one is, it shows an increase in water fees of 14%. That's just strictly the water, not sewer or anything else. And it's also strictly a pass-through. Blue Bonnet has notified us that they're gonna be increasing our rate 14.29%. So, yes.
So Kevin, what's the story behind that?
Story is they had a major failure in a water line and they have to build one and they gotta put it on the debt.
Yeah.
Wow.
No choice. $6 million payout and they gotta monetize it and that's gonna be about $480,000 a year, I think, payment. It's,
He said about 40,000 a month, that's correct.
it's a pretty serious situation.
And in this one, we're still working on the exchange. There'll be quite a few changes, but for this, what you're looking at, we've added 2 part-time positions and reduced contracted services to help offset those 2 part-time positions.
So explain that a little bit. What do we contract services for?
We contract for a lot of cleaning, for table or event setup, you know, putting the tables and chairs out, things of that nature.
Who keeps the grass over there? Is that city or is that contracted also?
That's contracted out. One of the positions, part-time, is a maintenance as well as to help with power washing, window washing, mowing, again, helping with setting up the tables and the stage and stuff like that as well.
It's a low finish facility, but it's a high finish maintenance,
Yeah,
just because you wanna keep it clean.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, keep going.
All of this was based off the preliminary tax worksheet. Of course, we will not get the finalized or until, they're saying July the 28th.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? I mean, the 28th seemed like we got it later than that last year.
No, it's supposed to be the 25th.
By law.
Yes, and I have to have my proposed budget filed with the city secretary by the 22nd. So I have to have it filed before I even know what the rate's going to be.
So what do you do to make a good guess? Are there any numbers we can base it on, even though they may be unofficial?
Yes. I mean, I have the preliminary from the 8th. I did get one late this afternoon for an update, and it is totally different. But was reminded that it is not the final and it's still gonna change, so.
Yeah, when you say totally different from last year?
Totally different from the one I got in June.
Okay.
And I think
Is it going up or down?
the value went down. And so I sent an email asking if they had forgotten to, because typically they forget to add in the Coriel piece, and I did not get a response back yet. So that's what I'm waiting on. So it might not have gone down as much as it appears, because the Coriel piece is like 9.1 million
Yeah, it went up.
or 9.2 million. So, yeah, I mean, and I think it dropped like, I want to say like about 26.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that doesn't account for that.
I don't, yeah, I've got to go through all the, there's 9 pages of entry, and so I've got to get through all of it to see, but
Suspect
they did
quite
a lot of.
Quite a few protests, I suspect.
We've done a lot of refunding, I know that, because as keying in what they send us each month, there's been some refunds given.
Can we go back up here where you had read this? I was looking at this, I didn't quite, maybe I missed when you explained it. But seriously, added 2 part-time positions to exchange event center and reduce the cost of service. Then down here, right on it, got upgraded current part-time position to full-time position.
Last bullet point.
Yeah,
I'm not understanding. See, it said
that's,
added
at
2
the
part-time
exchange, we
positions.
currently have a part-time person, and so we're attempting to move them to full-time, if we can make the numbers work.
Okay, that's why I said you didn't mention on that part, see, because the way I was reading what you said, I was thinking you was add 2 part-time positions to the exchange center.
Yes.
Then here
and
got upgrade
Mhm.
current part-time position to full-time position.
Yes, sir, if we can.
But that's all related to the exchange.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So essentially, we've got 1 part-time right now, plus contracted services.
correct.
And the proposal is, they're gonna make 1 full-time, 2 part-times, and no contracted services.
Limited contract services. We're getting rid of the majority, but we'll have to keep like the linen cleaning, because we don't have,
Washers.
yeah,
Okay.
stuff like that. But
Okay.
the ones that we can eliminate, we are.
Tell Cassie to take them home and wash them.
I've tried that. We've done it. I did it for the first 6 months. And when you're washing 56 linens that are 120 inches, it
I was
takes
only
you
kidding, you can
all
stop.
night.
I wouldn't wash 1 in my own washer, so I was only kidding. That's good.
Mayor, her twins
I
trump
promise I've
that.
attempted it.
She's taking care of twins now.
Yeah.
On the 3% COLA raise, you
Mhm.
said a merit increase of 2%. How is the merit raise, like everybody's gonna get that? I mean, everybody's gonna have an evaluation and only certain people that raise? I mean, how's,
In general, we do an evaluation, but we do evaluations all the time. So if they're still employed, they're probably gonna get it.
That's the new HR.
Well, it's the new old HR. I mean, our people are evaluated every day,
They can tell.
and they're coached when needed and so forth, so, we don't do a formal evaluation anymore, as far as a once-a-year thing, because what you get there is you get the, what they used to call it, almost the perfection syndrome, because it comes up and nobody wants to be you know, they tend to forget the negatives, and they didn't coach the negatives because they wait. It's just not effective. At least I've never found it to be as effective as it should have been. So now we pretty much coach on a monthly basis if needed.
Okay. And the added to dispatchers, is that due to increase in calls, or, I mean?
We're short one. And to get the time just right, some of them gotta work someone else's shift while they're on vacation, so.
So you have one filled and then one floater that also does office stuff with Kim.
Well, then it helps reduce the overtime.
I mean, I know the city's growing. Are our calls increasing?
Very little. I mean, we handle fire calls and ambulance calls for Moody, Crawford, and the surrounding area. But, it's just, of course, our dispatchers, they assign case numbers or call numbers. We fill out reports on each and every call, whether it's a cat call or a domestic.
We've also had Moody Police fell off, right?
Sir?
Do we still do Moody Police, or did they went county?
No, they went to the
So
county.
we've got just the fire department in
Fire
Moody and ambulance, and their ambulance is our ambulance now, same people. And then we lost Bruceville
Bruceville
Eddy completely, I think.
Yeah, a
that
couple
was
years
all
ago.
county.
Okay. Do you know when we're gonna have our quarterly report ready?
The deadline is the 20th of the month following the end of the quarter.
Okay.
Because of some court things and something else, they were telling me they needed a little bit of time, you know, right after the quarter.
Okay.
Okay, Carolyn, keep marching through.
Okay. On your next slide, that is your, what I call the summary, that shows each fund. At the top, you have all the revenues, and then you have how much the expenditures are going down by each department. And then the second, or towards the, just below the middle of the page, that's your debt payments and which fund they're coming out of. And so you'll notice we budget a balanced budget, so all but the park fund and the court technology, court security, those funds are zero. And you also will see your transfers in and transfers out there as well. Your technology and stuff funds, we spend on it, but they bring in more than we spend, so there's and then we haven't spent they have now one for truancy, couldn't think of the word, sorry. For truancy, we haven't done anything with that yet, but the state requires we collect, it's not much, but it's there. And then a municipal jury fund as well. The next one is our combined revenue from all funds, and you'll see where our land leases are now 9% of our total. Our charges for services are 40%, and our property taxes amount to 24%. Sales tax is now at 15%. So that's the top, really, 4 areas of where our revenues come from. And then on the next slide.
So hang on, charge
okay.
for services, that's primarily water,
sewer, garbage.
Do you know how that ranks, for example, in years past, that 40% number?
No, but I can find it out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know. I would hope that number is dropping. we're finding other ways to raise revenue other than charging for service.
And then, is that it, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Then our expenditures by category, you'll see that personnel costs are at 33%, contracted services are at 26%, which are our two biggest. Would you expect in a service industry your personnel costs to be one of your highest? Because that's what, we're not selling a product per se. And so then the next slide is our ad valorem taxes based on the what I received in June, which was the 701 million in tax. And then the current rate, all I did there is take the 700 million at our current today's rate and show what we would be collecting. And then the next line is the voter approval tax rate, which is the one y'all typically approve each year. And so you'll see that our tax rate isn't changing much there. The one that I got today says it's 0.552, I believe it was. So it's going, that they have it a little bit higher, but we'll see whenever.
And is the law still that we're only entitled to a 3% raise on the M&O side?
3 or 3.5?
3.5.
But on the interest and sinking, you can still raise whatever you want. Okay.
And then, so then you'll see like a tax based on a $100,000 home would change by 70 cents per year with the voter approval rate. Then we also have to show you the no new revenue rate, which is what the rate would be should we not adjust our taxes. It's based on what was done last year. And that rate would bring it down to 52.09, and we would save $20.91 a year on a $100,000 home.
And so that voter approval tax rate rolled back that 548,727, that's the max before you can have a vote.
You have to have an election, yes. Yes, or you're subject to a recall election.
Yeah, if you go above it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the next one is our de minimis, oh, excuse me. Did I get that? I hope I didn't do that in yours. I have two no new revenue. The de minimis, of course, is the one that we are not going to do. That's where they allowed us to raise an additional 500,000.
Is that even still in the law? I thought they were gonna take that out.
It's still in the certified tax roll sheet.
Very interesting.
So, okay.
I don't understand, so you could raise it to this de minimis rate and it's not subject to a rollback?
It's something that the legislature put in effect
In their infinite wisdom.
2 years ago.
Is that a
I believe it was.
COVID thing, maybe? I mean, well, I don't understand how that even, I don't understand how you have a rollback rate that's at 54, you can declare a minimus and not have an election.
Good question. Otherwise known as the suicide rate.
Yeah. And then your next sheet is just showing you the direct and overlapping property tax rates per $100. And that's showing us our McGregor ISD, the Midway and McLennan County and McLennan Community College. Just to give you an idea of where we fall. And then the next one is your assessed value and estimated value. And that's where you'll see how our property has, since 2013 fiscal year to 2022, it's gone from 217 million to 560 million.
Wait, hang on just a second, let me catch up.
Okay.
I'm gonna let my brain catch up with you. So we're roughly 600 million now, and we're expected to go, well, I don't guess we really know, do I mean, we're going north of that, I would assume.
Oh, yeah. It's either gonna be around between 680 and 701.
Jeez.
Is the two numbers I've gotten so far. 681, I believe it is, and
We'll put
$701.
$100 million on the tax rolls this year?
Wait till next year.
Mhm.
have $400 million worth of value coming out of the ground right now out there.
Golly.
It should all be recognizable within 4 years at this point on the books.
And then the next slide is our general debt service. That's the debt that's going to be paid with the property tax dollars.
Debt.
Yes, that's like the COs, the fire truck that we did. Because if you'll note on the fire truck, we paid off the one last year and then took on the 2021. That PFCO, that is the fire truck. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 from the bottom.
Gotcha.
For about the same amount as what we were paying before. And then the next schedule is total debt. So that's showing debt that's being paid by what we just looked at, but also by the utility funds. And that's the 1.1, excuse me, $2.1 million. And then the next slide is our general fund revenue by source. So this is strictly general fund. And there you'll see that our land lease is 15%, property taxes are 36%, and sales taxes 26%. Not too long ago, land lease was 25%. So you can see where it shifted.
Yeah, that was,
Those two have kind of flipped.
yeah. But that had, of course, the A100 building, and I guess others have picked up.
And then the next one is our general fund expenditures by department. And without, the police department is our largest, followed by streets. And then what's called non-departmental, and that's the things that we all share, you know, like office supplies, utilities, things that really don't apply to a specific department within general fund. Legal, the tax office. And then our next one, this is the capital that I have so far that's been requested. You'll see the 2 sirens that we discussed earlier. Street department's asking for a grapple truck and a 1/2-ton truck. They were asking for a semi, that got deferred. The police department had 2 vehicles and a new server. And I'm hoping our server will last until October 1. Parks Department is asking for a 72-inch mower, a gator, and so we continue to add the money to update Bewley or castings. I think this year we did Bewley. Is that
We are in
correct?
the process of doing Bewley, yes.
Yes, so.
Updating the, what? What are you updating?
Or basketball courts and bleachers.
What about the restrooms? I thought that was what it was for.
There is
Okay,
a cost associated with the restrooms that is unexpected, so that may not be an option.
good enough.
Okay, and then Code has asked for a mower and trailer as well. And then Fleet Maintenance has asked for a tire machine and tire balance, and a work truck.
So back to Bewley real quick, Cassie. $15,000. You can't do much in $15,000 at a park.
I did not hear you, I'm sorry.
No, so I'm looking at this budget. It says remodel Bewley at $15,000.
It's not a complete remodel of the park. It's money allotted to a specific park, or in this case, this last budget season, we allotted it to one of the 2 parks.
Right.
To give an update to something, so we could start putting money into the parks to update existing things that haven't been, they've been maintained, but maybe not upgraded in a number of years. So the bathrooms have been kind of one of those focal points, trying to upgrade them. However, we have a lot of damage to our restrooms, if you're unaware. A lot of broken
Not
toilets, a
surprised.
lot of broken doors, a lot of things get busted in. We replace toilets almost weekly. They showed up this morning to 2 more broken toilets.
Can we put in steel toilets?
We are in the process of trying to get the
It's about $15,000.
The prison toilets are about $15,000, yes.
I just see that's what Waco does.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That is what we're in the process of doing, yes, sir. But some of those bathrooms are relatively old, and in order to do some of those upgrades, plumbing has to be fixed as well. And if you're gonna pay $15,000 for the toilets, but not be able to fix the plumbing, it doesn't make it useful.
Kevin, what are we doing with the SpaceX firing late money?
That's available.
I mean, is it stashed somewhere?
Carolyn's got it hidden somewhere. No, it's just in a fund and it comes in. I don't know what it stands out right now.
I'm known for height, no. If you look on the very first page, you'll see the Park Development Fund, that's where it goes. It goes into that Park Development Fund. So, but it's hard to budget because we may get 25,000 this year and we may get 100,
Yeah, no,
we
I'm
may
not
get
talking about
nothing. So-
budgeting necessarily. I'm just talking about if the money's already saved up, then you can budget whatever has been saved to say, okay, let's put it in
And we
parks.
have done that. We've used that for
We will, right
for
now, you're
different
looking
things.
at trying to finish the restroom that's been on tap for 10 years at Amsler, and we're probably gonna have to dip into that to make that work. And we don't know where that is yet, but as we go forward, these restrooms will be, what I'd like to do is replace the restrooms at Bewley and at Casting both with this new drop-in restroom. They built them in Hillsborough. It's one of the places we're looking. And, you just bring them in and set them up, connect them. Concrete, set them on. See, they come with a pad, right?
So actually, it's not technically a concrete pad. They're called CTX prefabricated,
yeah.
Concrete buildings.
That's good.
They have plant in Hillsborough.
And you just hook them up to the plumbing that's existing, right?
With the existing
This one
bathrooms,
we
yes,
got the
we're
plan.
able to hook them up with the existing. With the, such as Amsler Park, we've been building essentially a pad, it's just not concrete, because we run all the plumbing to the center of it and then, sub it up, and they actually finalize everything when they drop the building, they hook everything up.
And before you ask, I've got one more company I'm gonna ask to come look at our existing courts in Bewley.
Yeah.
To see if there is still a chance of it getting rehab. They're known for rehabbing unrehabable courts, but we'll
Okay.
see. I'm still very suspect of it.
They would be the first company who that told us they'd be rehabable.
Yeah, they would be.
Okay. All right, Carolyn.
Okay, then, that's our general fund capital. That takes us to our utility fund. And then if we go to the next slide, our utility fund expenses by category, you'll see our contracted services are 43%. Our personnel are 23%. And a lot of that is Blue Bonnet and the garbage waste connect. That's what's driving the contracted services so high, those two. Then if you look at the next page, you'll have their requests for capital, which is the well 1B repairs for water production is $124,210. One more, Ron. And the generator for Johnson Drive is estimated at $200,000, and the generator for Hercules has been deferred for the $250,000. And then we have an AMI base radio read system, which is $125,000, and then hydraulic camera for $22,000. Replace two 2009 vehicles for $57,000 and $77,000, and a new backhoe for $190,000. We had the backhoe in this year's budget, but we didn't budget enough to cover the cost. And then at the wastewater treatment plant, we're looking at a sidewalk for $9,500 and a Spring Valley lift station fence for $20,000. And I believe they're doing a Johnson Drive fence this year. So that'll get a couple of our lift stations new fencing. The next one is the executive airport. And for Barry, we're projecting airport revenue next year to come in around 314,420. And then our expenditures, of course, are at 301,843, and then 12,000. The transfer out is the administrative fee that they pay to general fund for the services that we provide to them. And then we also have, the next one is the cemetery. Really, the cemetery is budgeted, the big thing is the capital outlay. We put in another 25,000 this year to continue with the fence project. And I think there will probably be some more there. One of the things that I know we're also looking at that hasn't made it because we don't have the quotes yet is the covers, what do we call it? For Public Works. The awnings. That's something that we're looking at.
Where's that?
At Public Works, at the 206, 106, I always get it wrong, 106 Main.
It's a giant carport.
Yeah.
We always planned it, hadn't built it yet, and we need to build it because the sun's eating us up. I'm also gonna say something right here. It's just, your fleet just amazes me, the fleet department. Of course, that was built and done by Kelly Oliver, who's an amazing talent at it, and he's trained our man that's in there now very well. I mean, you're trading off two 2009 pickups that are road hard every day, and he's kept them in service. It just struck me a minute ago is how good a job he continues to do. Kelly's missed, but he did good at putting that boy in his place there.
And then one other thing, it's related to the budget, is I wanted to remind y'all that on July 31st is when we're supposed to present you the actual rates. That's the night, unless we modify it, that you actually tell me which rate we're going to go with, the voter approved rate, or the no new revenue rate, or the de minimis. We meet every year. It's a short meeting, but you've got to, because then I have to turn it into the tax office the next day.
And the tax office is supposed to tell us by the 28th, you said?
Correct.
You're gonna have a fun weekend.
Yes. Goes with the territory.
If we can do it, it'd be great to get it done today. Finish up on the 31st.
Well, then, yeah, and then after that, we have our public hearings on August 14th, and the reading of the ordinance is August 17th. So please, please, please mark your calendars.
Yep. And Council, this is always a great opportunity for us to provide your input. And, you can do it however you want, but you can start probably on your own time, meeting with Kevin or Carolyn, and then bringing it to the meeting so we have some more opportunities. So take a close look at what you see here, and as you got questions or suggestions, make sure that they're known.
Yeah, there's a lot to digest, and I won't limit you to just Carolyn and I. If there's anybody directly over something and you're curious about it, and you have questions, go directly to them.
That's a great idea.
I'm not that manager. We're all on the same team, and they'll let me know, and we'll talk about it and move forward. But don't talk to Andrew. He's dangerous.
And I did also want to point out, in code enforcement, we reallocated the money a little bit. We still have money in demolition and mowing. We just increased the mowing amount and lowered the demo amount. We still left enough in demo to actually be able to do one. We've got 30,000 in it, but 25,000 instead of 15,000 in mowing, because there's been a lot of that this year.
All right.
You know, kind of,
Yeah.
on that note we just spoke of, I think that's right now something that we need to kind of do more of and look into. spoke to Carolyn, I spoke to the code enforcer about, at least over in my ward. Cause, you know, it's all right if these are people, the contract, so buying this property, you know, is going in, and then once they buy it, then it's on them to get it clean. But that's, a bunch of that over there is not happening, and it's overgrown a lot, and it's on the east side of town over there. If you ever drove over there, if you get a chance to drive over this, even with all of the building and stuff going on over there, now it's still a lot of lots that's grown up, and you know, some of them have been cut, but but still there's a lot of them that, you know, as to whatever reason, they can't find the owner or whatever, that you know, really need to be taken care of, because it's some of it is really bad looking, and it's sitting right side of people's houses and stuff. And you know, I understand, because I talked to Paul about it, and you know, Carolyn, I understand that it's a process to go through and everything, but it's still, we need to be diligent in getting it done for the city. And I'm glad that she was talking about what she increased her, you know, put money over in that what's called, because see, right now we're not. One time, y'all remember, we were doing a lot of, especially, I'm speaking of Ward 1 over there, demolition of old houses stuff. Well, that's not the problem over there now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Andrew, is your perception of the problem of grown-up grass, weeds, brush, rather than the demolition of old houses, buildings, things like
Yeah,
that?
because we don't have a lot of that. Most of the old houses over there, they got, when we were doing that, remember when we was kind of really, now it's just, you know, like vacant lots.
Yeah.
That, I mean, way overgrown.
Yeah.
And a lot of it are closer to people's houses, right side, some on the side of people's houses. And, you know, I think any of us as citizens, we wouldn't want to live like that. So I just think that's something that, you know, we need to look more into taking care of, however we can do it. If we, you know what I'm saying, if we're not taking money and tearing down old houses, then that same money, we move it over, and then we use it to get more of that property cleaned off. But like I said, I can understand they are buying property over there pretty diligent, so I can understand that. But you know, because then once they purchase it, they gonna clean it. But there's still a lot over there that's not purchased. It's just overgrown.
We place liens on the property still if we mow them, right?
Yes, sir.
But I
Matter of
agree,
fact, I got a check today for one.
Look into it. I've talked, like you said then, speaking of, I just went, you know, to them, and we kind of talked about it, but I was just mentioning it for us, you know, at the council, you know.
Yep. That's good. Okay, Carolyn, what else do we have on this first read-through?
That's the high points.
Okay, all right. So again, to reiterate, council, please be sure to dig into it, take a good look, meet with department heads, Kevin, Carolyn, however you choose to do it. And of course, if you feel it's appropriate, bring it to the council as we continue to meet. Okay, anything else, Carolyn, you have to present?
No, sir,
All
that's
right.
it for tonight.
Thanks a lot. So that was item 18. So that takes us to 19, which is a closed meeting. Pursuant to Section 551 Texas Government Code, in accordance with the authority contained in Section 551.071 legal, .072 real estate, .074 personnel, and .087 economic development. Kevin, what are we under tonight?
Real estate and economic development.
All right, so that takes us to items B and D, real estate under Texas Government Code Section 551.072, and economic development, 551.087, discussion regarding economic development negotiations, including commercial or financial information received from a business prospect seeking to locate, stay, or expand, enter near the city of McGregor, and to discuss economic development negotiations, and to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect. It's 8:07, so at this time, we'll stand in recess, go into executive session, come back out and finish up the agenda. 9:23, we are back in regular session with a couple of action items to take into account as a result of that executive session. First one is item 20, which is discussion and possible action regarding approval of the economic development agreement between the City of McGregor and the Waco Industrial Foundation. So what we have before us is a development agreement, which is essentially a interest-free loan from the Waco Industrial Foundation, where they're going to pay, what is the amount? Roughly $3 million, $2,994,133 to install the Atmos gas line that will run through a large portion of the park and will pick up the Knopf building.
Correct.
They got construction there. And the city will pay that loan back interest-free over, how many years is it?
10.
10 years. Roughly, what, $290,000 a year?
Yes, sir. Well,
300, it's like 300,000.
about 300,000 a year.
That money, to pay that back, will be generated off the franchise and electrical fees. That will be thrown off the Knopf and other facilities who will be using that. So we should see an ability to pay that, which should be generated by the construction and capital improvements that are being built.
If I may, just a technical correction. The Waco Industrial Foundation funds these type of projects all the time. And we have a big interest in keeping the Waco Industrial Foundation in place. And for them doing this, we're going to grant them the money. It's not technically a loan and not technically a loan payment, but we are granting them the funds that are created for us in the industrial park by the franchise fees, as you stated, from both gas and electric, which will more than pay the grant.
Okay. All right, so under item 20, is there a motion to approve the economic development agreement that we have and have reviewed with the Waco Industrial Foundation?
I make a motion that we approve the economic development group for the City of McGregor and Waco Industrial Foundation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second under item 20. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. Item 21 is discussion of possible action regarding the purchase of property located at 119 South Main.
Council, the piece of property in question is a piece of property that we condemned several years ago. A lawsuit put that situation in stasis. We condemned it to be torn down. It's an unsafe structure. Excuse me. That building has since gone into estate, and the estate actually wants to donate the building to us. Of course, nothing is free. We'll have to pay for any survey or any title. We've already done a title search on it. And any attorney's fees for prep of the stuff, all that'll be on us. And the lawsuit is in the process of being dismissed, if it hasn't been already. So this is a good situation for us. It's a clean situation. We'll just have to decide whether we tear it down and sell it, or we keep it for some other function, or if we sell it and let somebody else tear it down, repurpose that property.
Would there be any problem in item 21 changing that word from the purchase to the acquisition? I don't know, because we're not paying any money in the strict sense of.
I don't know how Charlie's writing it up. He wrote up the item.
He did?
Yep.
Well, let's keep it that way then. Let's keep it that way. Okay.
I thought, like you, I thought acquisition would be good, but
Yeah.
there'll probably be a line of $10 another,
Okay.
something like that.
All right, so, is there a motion under item 21 to match the, agenda item?
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the property located at 119 South Main.
There's a motion and a second on item 21. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 22, announcements from the city manager.
I only have one small thing, and that is a big thing. And Brian Lemillier and his group of cohorts have begun the process, if you've noticed in there on that whiteboard, of planning the new comprehensive plan process. So you're gonna be seeing some of that. You're gonna have some meetings and try to get that done in the next year. 10 years? No, you know, I need you to make a commitment. How long is it gonna take you? I gave you a year, you better take it. Anyway, actually, it may be called Vision 2040 or something like that, but you'll all be getting an opportunity to participate and bring your friends and family along for the ride. That's all I have, sir.
All right, item 23, request comments from the mayor and council. Anybody?
I'd just like to say, appreciate all the city employees working in this heat. I'm telling you what, it's been kind of brutal. Unfortunately, it's not over yet. And all the electrical work going on, pardon me, across from the high school down there, that's for the industrial area?
The most of that is Encore. They're taking their 69 kV line up to a 138, and that will match the Brazos line that runs north and south. It's a 138. It's partly that and stuff associated with that.
Okay. And none of that's online yet. That's all.
I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I think so.
And a lot of it has to do with that new transformer station, substation on the east end too.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
A couple weeks ago, I saw them out here working on the movie theater.
I saw them
And
yesterday.
I talked to
today
them
working
and
in
they
there.
said they're gonna try and get that up and running.
Really?
Well, there's a lot of work to do,
Oh,
so
yes.
I don't know if they've talked with Kevin or.
No, we haven't gotten anything, and if they're gonna be doing something major, they need to be talking to us pretty quick.
Well, I saw them in there today when I
saw 'em-
drove by.
I
But
saw
they
'em.
are cleaning it.
I saw them hauling out
That's what-
metal siding that they took off of that building down there.
No.
No, they are cleaning it, so.
A lot of the survey stuff
Right
you've
now.
seen, you may have seen some survey crews, they're actually involved with the Bounds buildings. And they've had survey crew over here for 3 days. Kind of surprised me, so I'm not real sure. They're gonna be redoing that sidewalk, and they wanna make sure that they're exactly where they're supposed to be on that front.
Can't wait to watch movies and throw Skittles.
Has anybody
The old
heard
days.
when the new car wash is supposed to be?
I don't know what's it,
In
the car wash, they're
operation.
slow.
Molasses,
Yeah, it seems like. I
They
think
are
they
slow.
started out like
I think-
took off, and then they quit, and then they started off again, and then they quit, and then it's just up and down.
Who knows, maybe next year.
And then, by the way, when I went to the movies, we didn't have Skittles, we had M&Ms.
Red Smith
weren't
used to
invented.
chase us through the aisles.
Yeah, they.
Well, let's get off the freaking mics where we.
I don't know.
I don't have mine on.
Okay, anything else? This meeting's adjourned at 9:31.
Going down memory lane, I can't